Hello friends, I am Dhanashri Bhute from Patugala College of Commerce and Management, and today we are going to learn a very interesting topic on the concept of service and classification of service from Commerce to FYB Com Semester 2. As commerce students, we have all heard the concept of goods and services. We all know that goods are anything which we can touch, which we can feel, which we can see. Goods are tangible in nature, whereas services are intangible in nature. They cannot be seen, they cannot be touched, they can only be felt. Hence, service can be said as the action of helping or doing work for someone. In service sector, there are all services which are offered to the people. So service sector is the collective name given to all types of services such as the banking service, insurance, tourism, retail, transport, telecommunication, catering and courier services, etc. Let us now understand the meaning of service. According to the American Marketing Association, services are the activities, benefits, or satisfaction which are offered for sale or are provided in connection with the sale of goods. Depending on the nature of service, the services can be classified into different types. First is degree of customer contact. Degree of customer contact can be measured in terms of the time the customer spends with the service provider while taking the service or using the service. The customer can spend long duration with the service provider, he can spend moderate duration with the service provider, and short duration with the service provider. Long duration contact comes when the customer is availing the service of radio shows, the television services or mobile services. A moderate duration contact comes when the customer avails the services of a barber, laundry, retail purchases, and the customer contacts for a short duration when he avails the services such as car wash, car repairs, etc. Next, the services can be classified on the basis of labor intensiveness. The services can again be classified as people based services and equipment based services. In people based services, the services have high degree of labor, such as repairing services, where more labor is involved. In equipment based services, it may have low involvement of labor, where the equipments may work more than the labor, for example, ATM services or weighing machine services at park. The services can also be classified on the basis of degree of relationship with customers. In some cases, the relationship between the customer and the service provider is formal, whereas in some services, the relationship between the customer and the service provider is informal. Let us understand this with an example. When someone goes to a bank, there the relationship between the customer and the service provider is formal. And when someone comes to your house to give painting services, then there the relationship between the service provider and the customer can be informal. Let us move ahead. The services can also be classified on the basis of facilities and equipment used. In some services, the service provider has to use more advanced equipments for providing services to the customers. For example, the service provided by super specialty hospitals, they use advanced machinery and technology to give better services to the customers. Services can also have profit or service orientation. Some service organization provide service for earning profit, while some other service organization provide services for the welfare of the society and for helping the poor section of the society. Now let us understand this with an example. Some services like hotel industry, tourism industry, they come under the service sector, but they offer their services to earn profit. Whereas the NGO, the non-governmental organization, provide their services for the welfare of the society and for helping the poor section of the society. Now, the service can also be classified on the basis of degree of skills required. Some services may require high skilled staff and some services may require low skilled staff. For example, the services such as providing medical services, engineering services, technical and legal services required high skilled staffs or employees, whereas the laundry services, cleaning services require low degree of skills. Some services require high degree of government supervision and control, whereas some services require low degree of government supervision and control. For example, the services of railway, airlines, hospital, hotels, government and local body services require high degree of government supervision and control, whereas services such as business, travel, leasing, brokerage, etc. Do not require more degree of government supervision and control. That is, they are not that much controlled by the government. Services can also be classified on the basis of extent of demand and supply of services. Some services have regular and steady demand, for example, demand for educational services, whereas some services have fluctuating or seasonal demand, for example, demand for hotel services, transportation services, or tourism services. Services can also be classified on the basis of degree of customization. Some services are personal in nature. They have high degree of customization. For example, tailoring services or hair cutting services. Services can also be classified on the basis of orientation. Some services are profit oriented, where some services are service oriented. Services such as hotel, tourism are profit oriented, whereas some services such as NGO or government hospitals are welfare oriented. Services can also be categorized on the basis of user orientation. Some services are directly used by the consumers, whereas some services are used by the industrial or manufacturing units. For example, the services of hotel industries are used by the consumer directly. The consumer directly go to the hotel to avail the services, whereas the services of repairing industrial goods, industrial machines, heavy machines. Such services are availed by the industrial and manufacturing units directly. Now, to sum up what we have learned till now, let us just do a quick recap. We did the difference between goods and services. Goods are tangible in nature, whereas services are intangible in nature. Service is something known as the action of helping or doing work for others. We also understood the meaning of service. According to American Marketing Association, services are the activities, benefits, or satisfaction which are offered for sale or are provided in connection with the sale of goods. Then we also understood the classification of services. Services can be classified on the basis of degree of customer contact, degree of labor intensiveness, degree of relationship with customer, facilities and equipment used in providing the service, degree of skills required in providing the service, degree of government supervision and control, extent of demand and supply of service, degree of customization, degree of service orientation and user orientation. These were some of the basis on which the services are classified. I hope that this topic, this concept is clear to you all. That's all in the session of concept of service and classification of services. Thank you, students.